Well, hello, folks. Thanks for tuning in to It's All About Racing. Today, we're going to talk about a Mercedes AMG GT3, that of Sun Energy1 Racing. And a couple years ago, I picked up this 1/64 scale model of the Sun Energy Mercedes AMG. Absolutely loved the black livery, the wild flames on it, the bright orange, the LinkedIn Park rear wing. Unfortunately, being a 1/64 and somewhat fragile as even 143s are, I broke one of the mirrors not only once, not only twice, but 3 times in handling it and reviewing it, and finally lost it and never could find it to put it back on. And I was so disappointed, I kind of relegated this into my display case and swore that if I ever got a chance to buy another one of these, I would. They did have one. In fact, they currently have one on eBay in 1/64 scale, but they want almost $70 for it. Forget it. Consequently, I saw this one available on eBay, made a bid on it, it was accepted, took it, ran away with it, and absolutely love it. This is the 1/43 scale Spark model, resin mounted on this wooden base. The car features an acrylic jewel cover, also has this US themed box, which is open-ended on both sides. I guess we call this a slipcase, as you can slip it easily in and out. The back of it looks like so with the US flag, and if you flip over the bottom of it, Spark Minimax, official licensing from Mercedes AMG, all the stuff you expect to see on a genuine Spark model. Now, the Mercedes AMG GT3 was developed in 2015 to compete in the FAA GT3 competition with an M159 6,208cc naturally aspirated front engine V8. The chassis is largely carbon fiber, reinforced polymers to decrease the weight to meet FIA regulations. Now, Sun Energy, you may have seen I have about 3 of their cars, and I am going to do a video now that I have all 3 of them in 1/43 scale, or at least the 3 that I can find. Was founded by Sydney, Australian-born race car driver and CEO of Sun Energy1, that being Kenny Habul. Kenny's also resided in Ontario, Greenwich, Connecticut, didn't know anybody lived there, and currently resides in Mooresville, North Carolina. Kenny's competed in IMSA, WC Sports Car Racing, Formula 3, Formula 4, CASCAR, for those of you who didn't know that, I didn't, that's Canadian NASCAR, and NASCAR US. Now, Sun Energy Racing is a Mercedes AMG customer team competing in IMSA and the Intercontinental GT Challenge. Now, this particular car, that of the 2017 livery that competed at the Petit Le Mans, features Kenny Habul. Now, let me flip this around so you can see. Kenny Habul from Australia, FIA Bonds driver, Tristan Vaudier, French FIA Gold driver, and Dion van Moltke, USA, believe it or not, FIA Gold. The team finished 35th overall at the 2017 Petit Le Mans with a DNF. Now, this gorgeous car comes on this cream-colored base. You have the US flag on the front, as you typically do with all these models that are race-specific. The livery is just this absolutely fantastic black with orange and yellow flames. I absolutely love it. You've got nicely perforated wheel covers there. The headlights are bronze, as they typically are in the IMSA WeatherTech series. Black grille, silver Mercedes logo. Really nice carbon fiber trim. You can see the tow hook there on the left. You've got dive planes on both sides of the car. And as with all Mercedes front-engine cars, you have a radiator, you can clearly see, through that grille, as well as the fan on top of it. Now, one thing you'll notice with these cars that compete in the IMSA WeatherTech series, let me flip this around this way, is you have these green number panels on the side. That means this is a GTD entry, which you can see down here. This means you've got a mix of both professional and amateur drivers, with Kenny Habul being the amateur, and Tristan Vautier and Dion van Moltke, the professional drivers. Number panels are green, so you can recognize them and differentiate them from the red GTD Pro entries. Your mirrors also are required to be green. The end caps of the windshield banner are required to be green, as are the end caps of the rear wing. Now, considering that this car has a green rear wing with Lincoln Park on it, it looks really, really sharp. I think it goes well with it. It helps, I guess it helps kind of blend from the black and the orange, which I just absolutely love. if you take a look at the wheels on this car, and this is one thing I really like about 143 scale, even though they're painted orange, and when you have an orange wheel, I mean, it's tough to make it look good on a model car. You know, and these are plastic. They're not painted, but you do have a nice wheel hub right in the middle of it, and you can see the rotor behind it. You can, I promise you. And of course, this being a 143 scale car, I believe these are Continental tires that you see on it. Now, one of the cool things I like about the Mercedes AMG being a front engine car is the exhaust comes out the side, and let me point that out. It's right down here. And Spark does a really good job with that. If you take a close look, and you can see the exhaust pipe clearly sticking out of there. What you see blended in here is the rest of the exhaust pipe, but it's perforated to open it, I guess, to air it out. But the livery kind of runs over it, so it doesn't look as good as it might wise on other cars. I think it still looks great. Now, one thing you'll see on the top here, in bright orange, this circle, this is your air jack input. And back here on the V panel, you have your fuel intake valves, and the number 88 panel that you see back there, those are the panels that light up to tell you what ranking the car has currently in the race. I always hate on the Mercedes AMG because they're always back here. They're hard as hell to see at daylight, even at night. I just think that the placement on them is absolutely terrible, but it is what it is. The names of the drivers you clearly see all along the window line. I really like the carbon fiber trim that you have, which stands out on this flat black finish. Notice you've got two really cool aerials on the top of the car, as well as the camera pod. If we turn it around to the back, get a really neat look at it. They did a really good job on the 143 scale cars with the plastic taillights, and they look really, really sharp, unlike their 164 car does, which is just painted. Bring it all the way around. I really like the Mercedes logo in the middle of it. The Lincoln Park wing, I think, is spectacular. And take a look at the support struts for it. It's one of the most complicated in the series. And if you take a look at it, it is really complex. And Spark does a really good job of replicating that. And I have to stay away from the mirror handling that because I really hate doing that. I almost never touch it with my hands. Very nicely integrated carbon fiber rear diffuser that you have in the back. And here's your rear tow hook right by the 75 number. You've got flames shooting from here. I'm not sure what that is. And it says, "In the end." I'm not exactly sure how to take that. Next time I see those guys, I'm going to ask them. One cool thing about these cars too, folks, and one thing I just can't stress enough about Spark, are the vast majority of cars that they make, other than those that are related to the 24 Hours of Le Mans, are typically limited edition runs, which means this particular car, they only made 300 pieces of, this being 84th, which means you are one of the lucky few that have only 300 of these. Now, the Sparky car that they make in 164 scale, I showed you that earlier, we'll pull that back. I'm not sure exactly how many they make of that, but they make quite a few. I'm guessing, a usual run of 164 is about 10,000. As long as they can sell them, they will sell more. So when you're out and you're shopping for a Spark sports car, and I'm going to specify sports cars because the Formula One cars are not limited edition unless they're really complex 118 models. And I have actually a couple in 143 that were a combination of like Bonartai and Spark together with a leather base, and that was limited edition, but the vast majority of the ones that you buy are not. The reason being for Formula One sports cars is every year they change those cars, and making the molds for cars is expensive. A Mercedes sports car that you see here, enters the series in 2015. They run through 2014 or 2024 with very nominal changes. So you can literally get away with this mold and just slight variations to it over the years. Where with Formula One, you got to make a new mold every freaking year. and then sometimes even changes in it throughout the year. You don't do that with this. You can make a lot more of these, very limited quantities of them, but you could make, 10 teams of these all with one mold, which is very cost effective for these manufacturers. And that's sometimes why they sell in these limited numbers. So if you purchase any of these cars that compete, for example, in the 24 Hours of Daytona, the 12 Hours of Sebring, the 6 Hours of the Glen, the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, Spa, you name it, anything except Le Mans, they're generally going to be limited edition cars. And they come in special boxes that denote that. And what I really like about these is they tell you exactly what car you have. You have the 84th out of 300. What I hate about Mini Champs and some other manufacturers is they say, well, you've got 1 out of 2,220. It doesn't tell you which one you got. It certainly wasn't 1. And then IXO models just say limited edition on the box, and that's it. You have no idea how many they made. This you know exactly, and you get a really, really cool car. Now, this was a somewhat long video, but anyhow, I hope you have enjoyed the finer points of this really cool car. One thing I will mention, as much as I love my 1/64 scale car, just in 1/64 scale, there is just so much missing that you don't get on 143, and consequently on 118 there's a whole lot more that you don't get in 143. But I always found 143 to be a nice medium, which is why I primarily collect those. This particular car I found I absolutely had to have it. It was one of my first purchases. It took me 2 years to find this car and get it, and I was so thrilled to do it. Anyhow, that being said, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Next time, I think we're going to do a Formula One car, and because Alpine did so well down in Brazil, I believe it's going to be an Alpine. See ya.